628.
And today is Tuesday, September 22nd, the Antelope Valley East Kern Water Agency Board meeting, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. Item 2, Pledge of Allegiance. Would Director Lane please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sheriff. Am I doing it by myself, or are we leading people?
You're leading, and everybody should be on mute.
Okay. All right. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody place your hand over the heart. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with blessings and glory for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Lane. Item 3, roll call. Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Madam President. Division 7, Gary Van Dam.
Here.
Division 6, Audrey Miller.
Here.
Division 5, Robert Paris.
Here.
Division 4, Justin Lane.
Here.
Division 3, Frank Donato. Frank Donato.
Yeah, here.
Thank you. Division 2, Keith Driest.
Here.
Division 1, Shelley Sourceville.
Here.
Dwayne Chisholm.
Here.
Jim Markman. Attorney Markman.
I'm here.
Thank you. And Holly Hughes present.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Item number 4, adoption of agenda.
I'll make a motion we adopt the agenda. This is Keith.
I'll second. Director Lane.
Roll call vote, please.
Gary Van Dam.
Yes.
Audrey Miller.
Yeah.
Robert Paris.
Yes.
Justin Lane.
Yes.
Frank Donato.
Yes.
Keith Dias.
Yes.
Shelley Sourceville.
Yes. Thank you. Item number 5, public comment and period open to the public. If there's anybody that wishes to address the board, now would be the time. Item 5A, voluntary public roll call. If there's anybody on the call that would like to identify themselves, this would be the time to do that.
John Joyce, reporting the news for Avek customers in Acton, Agua Dulce, Lake Los Angeles, and Roseman.
Vincent Dino, Palmdale Water District. Byron Glennon, Roseland Community Service District.
Okay, welcome. Thank you for being on the call with us. Item number 6, new business. We have none. Item number 7, consent calendar.
I'll make a motion we approve the consent calendar. This is Keith.
I'll second it. This is Frank.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Gary Van Dam.
Yes.
Audrey Miller.
Yes.
Robert Paris.
Yes.
Justin Lane.
Yes.
Frank Donato.
Yes.
Keith Dias.
Yes.
Shelley Sourceville.
Yes. Thank you. Item 8A1 is going to be postponed, so we'll skip that. Item 8A2, Director Paris.
Wayne or Matt will present this. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, Matt Knudsen will provide the staff report for this particular item.
All right, thank you, Dwayne. Good evening, directors. On page 40 of your board packet, there's a staff report that summarizes this item, but we also have a brief presentation to go through. This item was discussed with the Personnel, Legal, and JPIA Committee on September 16th. And we're going to be talking about the recommendation to set the 2021 contribution towards a health savings account for participants enrolled in what's known as a consumer-driven health plan. So just a little bit of background. In 2018, the agency added benefit package, the consumer-driven health plan offered to our employees and directors, and that is combined with what's known as a health savings account. So each participant electing for the consumer-driven health plan receives a contribution by the agency into what's known as a health savings account to offset the high deductible.
Hey, can you mute?
The agency saves a considerable amount of money that I'll show you based on individuals being part of this plan, even taking into account the contribution that the agency makes into the health savings account. So from 2019 to 2020, and this is calendar years, the agency increased the contribution for each participant by $200 into the plan. On the right, you can see a summary of the various plans under the consumer-driven health plans. On the right there, they're known as various Anthem plans and Kaiser plans. And you can see between 2019 on the bottom right and 2020, we increased the contribution by $200 into each of those various plans. And the intent at the time was to try to get more participants into the plan because overall it does save the agency money. And we're finding that it's a very good plan for individuals and families to manage their health care for themselves and their families. So from 2019 to 2020, based on adding that additional $200 per year per participant, we were able to entice 7 additional agency employees to participate into this plan. Overall, that saves the agency an additional $9,251 by getting those additional people, even including the $200 that we increased to be deposited. In 2020, the agency saved a total of $26,000. And again, that increased from 2019 by about $9,200. Down at the bottom, you can see the detail of the 2 years. We went from 11 participants to 18 participants between those 2 years. So the recommendation that was presented to the committee, and the committee concurred, that we increase the contribution by additional $200 for 2021. And the intent is to hopefully get even more participants to participate in this plan. There's still 35 employees that could participate in this plan, and we hope that some of those will jump on board and continue to save the agency money. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, but the recommendation tonight is to approve increasing the contribution by $200 per plan. I got one more slide here.
Wait. Can you go back? This is Frank.
Yes. Good evening.
So, is $2 per family per year?
Yes.
Okay.
So whether you're a single individual or married with a family, it would be an increase of $200.
I got another question. I know that. So maybe this needs to be addressed because a lot of people, not a lot, but there's probably quite a few in our agency that's getting closer to retirement age, and I know that the Anthem, you can transfer it out of the state, but I think the Kaiser, has anybody addressed the Kaiser situation?
As far as if you get money left over in the plan when you retire, whether you carry or transfer it out of the state, is that the question?
Yeah, because if they go and build this thing up and they don't want to, say they want to move to Nevada or Oregon or whatever, and they hook up their plan there, are they able to move that over? Because don't they retire? Who pays for medical when they retire? We do, don't we?
Yes, we do.
After 20 years, right?
After a certain age and working for the agency for 20 years.
Frank, to clarify, the agency begins paying retirement health at with a service time of 10 years, and that is a 50%. If you complete 10 years with the agency and retire, you receive a 50% of the premium for your service for those 10 years. And each year is another 10% until you are, another 10, not 5% until you get to 20 years, at which time, once you've achieved 20 years, then the health insurance is fully paid by the agency.
Okay, so if we hire somebody at 25 years of age and they work 20 consecutive years, that means they're 55 years of age. So,
45.
Coming home.
Oh, 45. I'm sorry, you're right. 45 years.
Have that meeting again.
Can you please mute everybody?
God
Somebody,
dang,
we're
it's
listening
horrible.
to your private conversation. Okay, go ahead, Frank.
The question is, so they get hired at 25. They work 20 years. They're 45 years of age. They're fully invested in the program. They decide to move. And does that carry over to another state?
The health insurance benefit that the agency provides?
Well, here's the deal. We need to find out. And another we need to find out.
No, wait a minute. Slow down, please. Let's address about the money that's going into their HSA being transferable if they leave the state.
Right.
Yes, they can.
Yes, they can. That's a federal program. So.
Yeah. If there's money, if you have.
It's a what program?
It's a federal program. The health safety account is a federal program, so it's universal throughout the United States.
Okay, well that's not okay. Well on that it is, and that is. But let's talk about let's talk about Anthem versus Kaiser. Now Kaiser's not universal.
Okay, but you're talking about a different thing, Frank, than what we're talking about on the agenda item.
Well, it's not true. Not true, because he just said they're trying to encourage the amount of people to invest in this program, and they're not going to invest in the program if they cannot get the insurance of their choice in another state.
This is Matt again. So that decision will be left up to individual employees.
I can't hear you. You got to talk up a little louder.
That decision will be left up to the individual employee to plan for their retirement. At any point during open enrollment, the employees can switch plans. So if that is a consideration that a certain provider is not provided in other states that they're moving to, they have the choice before they retire to switch to a plan that is offered within that state.
Well, I know, but I'm going to pretend I'm representing the employees, and I believe that should be addressed in conjunction with that, because if they're on Kaiser, there's a discrepancy between Kaiser and Anthem when it comes to coverage. I went through the whole. I was one of the few. I think me and Shelley were the only two directors that were in that room that went through that last year. And I asked that question, and then I found out that there's a difference between Kaiser in Southern California than there is Northern California.
Yeah.
Okay,
And-
so the question I have is, I mean, it's really it coincides as a package. If you're trying to sell this to increase the amount of usage of the employees to be invited to the process.
Yeah. And that will be fully explained to the employees during the open enrollment. Our plan is...
Okay. So when is that?
We're still scheduling that. The open enrollment's just starting.
Yeah,
so we have a little bit of time, and we plan on having an individual from JPIA give an overview for all employees to make sure that they fully understand what they're signing up for.
So all these people here that get part of the plan, it doesn't discriminate against if you use Anthem or you use Kaiser. They still can kind of put the $200 we put in would be contributed if they elect to go with that program.
Correct. Yeah, the health savings account is not tied to the particular health provider. They can use those funds interchangeably if they switch plans in the future.
Okay, and this presentation is to put this money in our budget.
That's correct. Well, to get board approval to increase the contribution by $200 per participant.
Well, I have no problem with it. I'm totally in support of increasing the $200 per year per employee. I just want to make sure that the employees are aware, and it's really stressed that they listen to the open enrollment, because we don't want any culture shock in a couple of years.
Yeah, we understand.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make sure that all employees understand the pros and cons.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Now you can finish.
That's okay. We're pretty much done. I just wanted to point out that this lines up with 2 of our strategic plan goals. And with that, the afternoon's saying questions, and again, the committee is in support of this recommendation.
Well, Matt, it's a very good presentation. Since we're not there, and just again, I want to make sure that it's in today's life, or today's adventure of living, that our employees that have given their time and energy, I want to make sure that they're protected and they have all the options they have, whether they stay in California or they leave California.
Yeah, understood. We'll make sure that happens.
Does anybody else have any questions? Matt, what is the number of employees that we need to have on the program for it to break even? Is it like 3?
Yes, you're correct. Yeah, we talked about at the committee, and that's a good point. Director also brought up. If we get at least 3 additional participants, we will break even on the additional $200 added to the existing participants.
So really, it won't cost the agency anything, and in my opinion, the employees will have a better plan.
I agree. I agree 100%.
Yeah. And I think we're guaranteed to already have a couple of people based on conversations with staff.
Madam President, this is Rob.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll move approval of Board Order 88.
I'll second it. This is Frank.
Any other questions or concerns or comments? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
Audrey Miller, Robert Paris,
Yes.
Justin Lane,
Yes.
Frank Donato,
Yes.
Driest,
Yes.
Holly Sorcible.
Yes. Thank you.
I'd be happy to. Board President Sorspool, members of the board, this item is to establish a public hearing date for adjusting our water rates for January of 1st 2021. As the board is aware, we require 40 to 5 day advanced notice to set that hearing. And so that's what this item is to set that hearing, that public hearing to be established on November 10th, 2020. So be happy to answer any questions, but all we're trying to do is set the public hearing date.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Yeah, I move on Board Order 8B1. It's Frank Donato.
I'll second Justin Lane.
Any questions or discussion?
Yeah, yes. This is so we're doing this now because we're going to have a study session on some of this, correct?
Oh, yes, there'll be. We're just having a board hearing tonight. The committee still needs to review the rate study from Reptalis and provide a recommendation to the board for that particular meeting. And as we've done in the past, we'll also communicate with our customers and others prior to the public hearing date.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
Audrey Miller. Yes. Robert Paris,
Yes.
Justin Lane, Frank Donato,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Kelly Sourceville.
Yes, thank you very much. Item 8C1, Adjudication Water Master Committee, Director Paris.
Yes, I believe that our assistant manager, Matt, will give this presentation. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Director Paris. Good evening again. Want to bring your attention to page 45 of your board packet. Has a brief staff report, and attached to the staff report is resolution number R-20-19 that we're going to be considering this evening. So just a little background. As you know, the Antelope Valley Water Master and the Antelope Valley State Water Contractors Association, which Avek is a member of, entered into an agreement in October of 2019.
Yeah, you made Matt silent.
Yeah, Matt's muted. Please start over.
Try again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. I'll start over.
Thank you.
So we're going to be considering resolution number R-20-19, which is included in your board packet on page 46. Just a little bit of background. In October of 2019, the Antelope Valley Water Master and the Antelope Valley State Water Contractors Association entered into an agreement to deal with the provisions and process of providing replacement water to the water master. As you know, Avek is a member of the association along with Palmdale Water and Little Rock Creek Irrigation District. The water master serves is based on the agreement of 2019, develops a plan which defines how either Avek, Palmdale, or Little Rock will provide replacement water to the water master or to the adjudicated basin. Oh, can you give me a... So, here is a map probably all familiar with this, but the blue shaded area is the Antelope Valley Groundwater Basin or adjudicated basin. The red line is Avek's service area. The blue line outlines Palmdale Water District service area. And then you can see a little section of green, which is Little Rock Creek Irrigation District's boundary. So this map identifies the location of parties or individuals that overpumped and were subject to replacement water by the water master in years 2016, 17, and 18. The ones color-coded in green are parties that were assessed replacement water obligations by the water master and paid subsequent fees for that overpumping. The red highlighted individuals or parties are delinquent on their replacement water assessment. So they have not yet paid their assessed fees. And then the blue are parties or individuals that overpumped, were subject to replacement water assessment, but in lieu of paying the assessment, worked out a deal with a party to do a transfer to satisfy that replacement water obligation. This table identifies the 6 parties that were highlighted in green on the previous map who were assessed replacement water assessment. You see the second column there is the overpumping that occurred times the $415 per acre foot set by the water master and the total payment received by those 6 parties. You can see a total of about $453,000 was being held by the water master for these payments. So the association came up with a plan, and I'll go back to this map here. You can see that most of the overproduction occurred within Avek's service area, with the exception of Vulcan had a small amount of overproduction within Little Rock Creek Irrigation District's boundary. So based on that, Avek, per the plan submitted by the association, will provide 1,089.26 acre feet of water that's already banked in our West Side Water Bank and transfer that or release it to the basin and deduct that amount from our water bank, from the West Side Water Bank. In exchange of doing that, Avek will receive a payment in the amount of $452,000, what is that, 42.90. It's highlighted there. In exchange for deducting that from the West Side Water Bank. I should note there was a good question brought up by Director Donato at the committee that this water and the accounting already accounts for the 10% loss through the recharge process. So that is accounted for, and we made a revision to the resolution to document that. So staff and the committee are recommending that the board approve resolution number R20-19 to document the agency releasing just under 1,090 acre feet of banked water from the West Side Water Bank to the basin in exchange for $452,042.90. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Madam President, this is Rob.
Yes.
If there's no questions, I'll move approval of board order number 8C1.
I'll second the motion. This is Keith.
Any questions or discussion?
Yeah, Director Van Dam, I had one question.
Sure.
Matt, this isn't a production right that they didn't have. This is a overdraft of water.
Yeah, so it's kind of a combination of things, Director Van Dam. It could be parties that does have a production right, but more than that production right, or it could be parties that did not have a production right and were pumping outside the judgment. So it's kind of a combination of those two things. Let me go back to the table. Not all those parties listed there or producers have production rights.
Right. I thought Ritter had settled up that when he sold his ranch, he settled up on his water assessment.
That's correct. Yeah, he did. He had 791 acre feet of replacement water assessed. When they sold their property, they paid, somebody paid on their behalf, the $328,000 to the water master for that replacement water obligation.
Okay.
So these are monies that have already been received.
Correct. And we're simply documenting with the resolution the transfer of money in exchange for AVAC providing the replacement water to the basin.
And does that replacement cost cover our costs?
Yes, it does. AVAC was really the one driving the assessment set by the water master. So our calculation covers all of AVAC's costs, including the 10% loss.
Thank you. Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris,
Yes.
Justin Lane,
Yes.
Frank Donato,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Kelly Sorsel.
Yes. Thank you.
I have a comment. Hey, Matt.
Yes.
You know what? I can't have my ding mic on. I want to compliment you. It was an excellent, excellent presentation.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, item number 9, old business, we have none. Item 10, Chief Engineer's Report.
Yes, Justin would say the engineering manager will provide this report to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. Good evening, President Sorsabal, members of the board. Let's see, we got a couple slides here. Here we go. Just going to provide a brief update for the board on a handful of projects that are underway at the agency. So I'm just going to go through this table. Please stop me at any time and ask any questions that you might have regarding the projects. Starting on the top line there, we have our Urban Water Management Plan 2020 update. If you recall, the board authorized Water System Consulting to perform this update for us. This is a plan that's required for all water systems serving 3,000 or more users, and it's required to be updated every 5 years. So the last update was done in 2015 by the agency. That contract amount is $72,220. And we just recently held the kickoff meeting about 10 days ago, so we haven't paid anything to date yet on that project. But we'll be undergoing a lot of data collection and get going with this consultant. Moving on to the next item is the Acton Water Treatment Plant Ceiling Support Project. This was awarded to Valley Iron back in May. That work was completed back in July, I believe, and we issued a notice of completion for that project. That 30-day time period has passed, and we just issued their final payment to them just yesterday. So that project went really well. We can close that one off the books now. Next item on the list is our East Side Water Bank expansion. If you recall, back in May, I believe it was, we did an amendment with Kennedy Jenks for them to move to the next phase of our East Side Water Bank expansion project, which is the pre-design of the recharge pipeline and new recharge basins to the east of the existing East Side Water Bank property. And that also included a final design for a well that was previously drilled under the original bank called well ES1R for that to be designed to be finalized. So that project is underway. We received 90% design actually just recently for the well ES1R. So that's undergoing staff review to be able to provide any comments back to Kennedy Jenks that we might have. Next item on the list is the emergency response plan. This was awarded to R.E. Patterson Associates back in February. There were a few components to their work. The first was a vulnerability assessment, which was required by EPA to be filed back in March. And I believe we reported to you at that time that we did meet that deadline. We were actually a couple of weeks ahead of schedule on that. And the emergency response plan is the second component of that. That is required to be submitted by the end of September. And we did receive essentially a final draft of that with all staff comments incorporated. So that's been submitted as well. And that was ahead of schedule. The final phase of his work is to help us work on a design for our emergency operations center, which will outline what the basic layout should be, what type of equipment we should have, and different types of maps or whiteboards, other kinds of materials that should be there in order for it to be a fully functioning emergency operations center. Following that, the rehabilitation of 6 agency turnouts. This is 4 turnouts in the Quartz Hill service area and 2 turnouts in the East Side service area. We competitively bid this contract and awarded it to Bowie Contractors back in February. They have procured all materials and have all those on hand at their shop, and they're ready to begin work. So we've paid them the $133,000 for the materials that they have on hand, and the work is scheduled to be completed November through January of these next few months. Following that, the water system master plan, we kicked this off with Carollo back in 2018. They're nearly complete. We just this morning received their most recent draft, which is in nearly final form. So staff is reviewing that, looking at the different chapters and figures to provide some comments back to Carollo. Those will most likely be minor, and then they can finish up the final draft and print copies for the agency. So they've got all of our 2019 data incorporated, and that's almost finished. And the final project on this list is the West Side Water Bank Underground. This would be to replace a lot of the temporary aluminum surface main that we're using to bank water at our West Side Water Bank with permanent underground piping, eliminating the need to continually purchase aluminum above ground pipe that deteriorates over time and eliminates quite a bit of manpower out there with replacing that pipe. So that we received a 90% design package for that just last week, and that's undergoing staff review so that those comments can be incorporated and then progress to final design. So that project is also nearly completed. And that's the end of my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Looks like you've been busy, Justin. Good job. Okay, item number 11, General Manager's Report.
Thank you, Board President Sorsman, members of the board. This is the General Manager's Report for September 22nd, 2020. As you can imagine, there's not much precipitation in our Feather River region, where we receive most of the water, all of the water that comes down through the aqueduct. We're right at September is the end of the water year month. We'll start a new chart beginning in October of next year, and as you can see, there's this is kind of our weather pattern for this last year. It's interesting to note here that we're in the, whoops, I don't know how that went. This machine's getting sensitive. We're right here right about, I think it's about 31, where this did go, there it is. About 31 inches of rain, which is the second driest period that we've had. And you can see we've had 3 years of very, very dry weather, well below average. Right in here, this is 2017, 18, 14, 15, and then this year, which would be 19, 20. Sandwiched in there, a very wet year in 18, 19. And then one of the wettest years, which was 16 and 17. So if you sandwich in a few of these wet years in with the dry years, we can still provide good service for the people of the state. You can see here for the reservoir conditions for Lake Orville, we're still in relatively good shape. We're a little bit below about 75% of where we would be on an average basis, but still well ahead of some of those dry years. And as far as San Luis Reservoir, it's 106% of average, which we're a little bit above. So what's important to note here is we're starting out the year relatively good reserves of water across the Delta, and that we have an average amount of water in San Luis to begin the new water year that already has gotten across the Delta, which is the most difficult part of the process in getting water from Northern California to Southern California. And these graphs here just show, show where the water levels are at. You can see we're right in this location in here. And then we got a little bump over the top here in San Luis Reservoir. Closer to home, we're still producing good 40 million gallons a day coming out of the Quartz Hill plant. And I shouldn't say that of all the water treatment plants. You can see 30 to 32 million out of Quartz Hill. We got about 4.5 coming out of Rosemond, and 3 million gallons a day coming out of the east side. About 40, as I indicated, about 40 million gallons a day, which is out of 90, we're only using about a third of our capacity. If you look at our water bank recovery geopurification system, we got about 7 million gallons a day coming from that portion of the capacity that we have. So when you add the two together, we're about 47 million gallons a day. So the good warm weather is producing quite a demand for water. As far as our water banking goes, we're west side's off, upper Amagosa's off. We're only providing water to the east side water bank for water quality purposes, and so that's what you have here. Always like to look at this graph. Gives me a good warm feeling inside to know that we have a little over 90,000 acre feet available at any time to meet our customers' demands. And so that's this number here. And this 27,810 is water that we have stored for Metropolitan Water District per that agreement that we entered into with them a few years ago. The third quarter THM results show that we're meeting all of our goals. This is the one that's a little bit high, but I do want to make note that many of our processes that we've had in the past, where we had difficulty out in the outer edges, whether that be Lake LA or Boron, they're really a lot less because of the geopurification processes that we've been using, and we've really lowered the THM results around it. So the board should be very pleased with the decisions that they've made over those years, because it has really provided a really resilient and a very potent system for maintaining good water quality throughout a very long and complicated water distribution system. As far as water operations and maintenance updates, we're continuing to start with our winter maintenance projects. This is the first day of fall, and so we're actively scheduling and managing those processes. The Phillips Labs rehabilitation project is moving forward, and we have some proposals due back on Tuesday, the 22nd, for the backhoe purchase. As far as COVID goes, we continue to implement the protocols. We have no new cases of COVID-19 to report. There was a request by a couple of directors to talk a little bit about the Bobcat fire and the firefighting aspects of that. This map here, this red line shows the outer limits of where the fire is. It started way over here on the south side. It's moved its way up. And I'm particularly interested in this little portion right in here because that's where I live. And you can see this is this little portion here is Little Rock Creek. And so it surrounded a portion of that area there. There was some evacuation orders, quite a few in Juniper Hills and in Little Rock and other areas, primarily up in Big Rock and these areas up in here. There was some loss of homes associated with that. No AVEC facilities. We didn't supply any water, but those aircraft that you see, the big scoopers and the others, are using water from Palmdale Lake. They scoop up about 1,400 gallons of water per drop, so they can make quite a few runs. But Lake Palmdale has 1.3 billion gallons of water, so they got a significant amount of water, so that really doesn't have much of an impact for them using those waters. I can tell you from personal experience that the helicopters were using the forebay at the geez, I want to say Little Rock, but it's Pear Blossom. That's the one. Pear Blossom pump station, and they were using those to take and make bucket drops in areas where they could try and protect some homes in that way. So, and if you look at the evaporation loss for Lake Palmdale, it's about 391 million gallons. So it doesn't have much of an impact as far as water quality, but certainly good to have these water bodies available and have them local to be able to help the firefighters. Our events and schedules, we got quite a bit of things going on. We got our Water Master meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock. We have some teleconferences and virtual meetings coming along. We have a special board meeting on 9/29 at 6:30 to review the water supply fee and adopt that fee at that point, at least consider adoption. And then we have the AV State Water Contractors Board meeting on 10/8 at 6 p.m. And the Aqua Virtual Fall Conference will be December 2nd and 3rd to give you a little preview on that. So wanted to make note that at the AV State Water Contractors meeting, we're going to have a special presentation by Jennifer Pierre. She's the State Water Contractor GM on the State Water Project and ongoing issues. And it would be good if you have an opportunity to listen in to her talk. She's always very informative and very knowledgeable on current issues associated with the State Water Project. So with that, that concludes my report. Be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you very much, Dwayne. Item number 12, Director's Reports. Item 13, Attorney's Report. Mr. Markman?
Yes, board members, I have a surprising report, a short but very surprising report. We heard from the Court of Appeals today concerning the Phelan Pinion Hills appeal. They want to put that on a hearing calendar for November, which, and that's Phelan Hill, they just filed their reply brief. So they're running a little bit ahead of the big appeal, the Willis appeal. But that's a message that the court has and its clerks have digested the entire record. And now they're taking these cases on the substance. So there'll be an oral argument set sometime in November, concluding a 5-year appellate period, which will conclude with that oral argument and a subsequent decision. So now it appears the rest of the cases will move through, well, maybe 4 to 6 months faster than we thought they would. So that is my report for the day.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have any requests for any future agenda items? Do we have a reason to go into closed session?
We do not.
We don't? Okay. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Madam President, this is Rob. I move we adjourn.
This is Audrey. I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris,
Yes.
Dustin Lane,
Yes.
Frank Donato,
Yes.
Keith Driest,
Yes.
Kelly Sourceable.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for your participation. Have a great week.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.